Hey y'all, Chelsea and Danny here.
Enjoy this episode of Today's Homeowner here on YouTube.
If your house is in need of exterior repairs, stay tuned. We've got some great tips for you.
Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Real projects for real homeowners with real solutions. Information and inspiration on improving your home from professional remodeler Danny Lipford.
Welcome to the show this week. Now, if you own a home, sooner or later you're going to have to deal with some exterior repairs. Now, whether you hire a pro or you do it yourself, it's important to know what can be done and what should be done. So this week we've assembled some of the most common exterior repairs on a variety of homes, and we'll show you what to look for, and if you have a problem, how to take care of it. So get out your pencil and get ready to mark off a few of those things on your to-do list. We're going to cover the house from the top to the bottom. Welcome back to the show. Now, I said we were going to start at the top, and I meant that literally, up on the roof. Roof repairs should be on every homeowner's list because if you have any problems with your roof, it can really cause some extensive damage down below. You may notice any discolored drywall ceiling spots is a big indication that you may need a little work done up on top. Now, this is a standard asphalt shingle roof, the most common roof that you find on American homes. The manufacturer says this should last 15 to 20 years. This one is about 8 to 10 years old, and we're already seeing a few signs of wear and tear. A few of those signs can include any splits or blistering or buckled shingles, all signs that you may need some type of repair. Now, there's several ways to address this problem. One of the first ways is a very simple one that can include nothing more than a few tools, a little bit of roof cement, and galvanized metal. Because this tear is so small, I can repair it without replacing the whole shingle. I cut the metal to about 3 inches by 11 inches and pry up the damaged shingle with a flat bar. Next, I apply 2 beads of cement to the flashing, turn it over, and slide it under the damaged area. After that, I apply 2 more beads of cement on the top side of the metal and press the shingles down in place. Now, this works great for some minor damage like this, but if you have more extensive damage to your shingle, you may have to replace an entire shingle or at least one tab. Begin as before by prying up the shingle tab with a flat bar. In this case, you'll want to do the same with the row above the damaged area as well. Then use the flat bar to remove any nails in the damaged tab and any above it that may be holding it down. Use a utility knife to cut off the damaged tab and pull it out. Now cut a new tab from a matching shingle and slide it into place. Nail it down and the surrounding tabs back with galvanized roofing tacks. Next, apply a little roof cement to all the tabs you've disturbed and you're completely done. Now, another area of concern on your roof is anywhere you may have a roof penetration, like this plumbing vent or this gas vent. You also may have exhaust fans for attic ventilation or even a turbine that's used many times for attic ventilation. All these areas will have some type of flashing. This particular one is a galvanized flashing, and this one is a rubber boot that has a tendency to dry rot, so you really have to look carefully for any small crack or any area where the shingle may be torn. If you see anything like that, then roofing cement may help you there. And if you see any damage on any of the flashings themselves, then go ahead and have those completely replaced. Now, another thing that surprises a lot of homeowners are the lead jacks that are many times used around plumbing vents and the damage that you'll see on these vents that are a result of squirrels that love to use these vents to actually sharpen their teeth. If you see any damage on one like this, it definitely needs to be replaced. Speaking of flashing, there's a lot of flashing on most houses that really need to be inspected closely. Now, even on this house, the valleys have metal flashings that need a close look. Also, check out the top and around the sides of your chimney and around the perimeter of the roof. Also, if you have rain diverters, they really deserve a close look. Sweeping out debris like leaves from these areas will help, but you may also need to apply roof cement around trouble spots like bay windows to keep water from migrating between the flashing and the shingles. Now, none of these repairs are really that difficult unless your house has a very steep pitch on the roof. In that case, you may want to have a pro to take care of it. But even if you hire a handyman service or a roofing contractor to take care of these repairs, it's still a lot less expensive than installing a whole new roof that can cost several $1,000s. But if you keep up with all of these repairs, you can definitely postpone the inevitable expense of a new roof sooner or later. Now, after our Simple Solutions segment, we'll work our way down the house and take a look at siding repairs.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and home repair expert Joe Trowini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by DuPont Tyvek. Build it once, build it right.
Now, this is the way to carry plywood. Get a helper. But if you're working by yourself, Joe has a way to make it easy to haul plywood around.
Well, Danny, you know they make little handles and carrying devices for moving sheets of plywood around that you can buy at a hardware store.
Right.
But I found it's just as easy to make a sling out of a length of rope. What I did is I took a piece of rope, this is about 22 feet long, and I tied the ends together so it's one continuous loop.
Okay.
Then on the end, I took a length of garden hose. I'd snipped off an old broken garden hose.
Looks like a handle.
Yeah, and I slipped it through. What this creates is a nice, comfortable carrying handle.
Okay.
Now for this is only 3/8 inch, so you know it's pretty lightweight. But if you're carrying a 3/4 inch piece of particle board, it's pretty heavy.
Oh yeah, and that could really dig into your hand
rope
with this
can
rope.
cut into your hands.
Okay.
So what we do is just loop the ends of the rope around each corner of the plywood, and then flip it up, and just lift up on the handle to get it on the ground. Once it's standing upright, then you can adjust the handle to find a nice midpoint so it balances. And once you find the center point, you can see you can lift it and carry it really just with one hand.
And I guess even if you had a smaller piece of plywood, you could really just retie the rope to shorten it up a little bit. And even with thin sheets, maybe 1/4 inch, you could probably haul 2 or 3 with something like
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. Give it a try. It works
Okay.
great.
Welcome back. Now, besides the roof on your home, the biggest exterior surface you have to be concerned with is your walls. And just like the roof, if you have any problem with your walls that will allow water to get behind the skin of your home, it can create you a lot of problems. Not only the possibility of creating foundation problems, but you're creating a perfect environment for termites, wood rot, and the development of mold that we hear so much about these days. Now, what can you do about it? You need to address any gap or any crack that you may have in the exterior surface of your home. Now, if it's a brick home like this one, the biggest concern will be small mortar cracks like we have here. Now, this may seem like a daunting task to take care of this, but actually it's very easy to repair. Start by using a 5-gallon bucket to mix up a small batch of mortar that matches the existing color of the home. Begin with a small amount of water in the bucket and add 1 part mortar mix and 3 parts mason sand. Now, all of these components are available at building supply stores or home centers. Continue mixing the mortar until it reaches the consistency of pancake batter. Next, put a small amount of the mortar in a grout bag, which is basically an oversized, heavy-duty pastry bag. If your home center doesn't have these, a local masonry supply store will. From here, it's much like decorating a cake. Carefully squeeze the mortar out of the bag tip and into the mortar cracks. If the cracks are small, you may want to open up the outer edge of the crack with a chisel to accept the new mortar. A popsicle stick works great to rake off any excess mortar and smooth the patch so that it matches the surrounding mortar. After the mortar dries a bit, wipe down the face of the bricks with a wet rag to remove any of the stray mortar. Now, if the bricks on your home are painted, you may be able to repair small cracks with a little latex caulk and some touch-up paint. That was a fairly simple repair on the brick crack, but if you have a house with horizontal lap siding, any repairs that you may encounter may be a little more challenging. Now, lap siding looks great on any house, and that's why vinyl siding has become so popular, because you get the look of lap siding without any of the maintenance that's involved other than keeping it fairly clean. Now, this house has hardboard siding, and whether it's hardboard siding or wood siding, a few things to keep in mind. First of all, wherever the siding touches any corner boards or window trim, door trim, make sure there's no gaps there. Caulk it up with a good latex acrylic caulk, touch it up with paint to make sure no water can get behind the siding. But what can happen so much on hardboard siding, particularly right around the bottom where it may be in contact with concrete or where rain may blow back up against the siding, you can get a lot of deterioration like we see here. Now, these homeowners may try an idea that we tried on a project a few months ago where we actually replaced several runs of the siding around the bottom part of a house with something a little bit different, fiber cement siding. We began by removing the rotten siding up 2 courses high. We wanted to leave the 3rd course intact, so we used a nail set to drive the nails on its bottom edge all the way through. With a little help from a flat bar, this allowed us to pull out the course below without damaging the 3rd course. In this case, the water damage was so bad that it affected the sheathing beneath the hardboard siding. So we made a clean cut line and removed the old damaged sheathing a foot or so up from the bottom of the wall. We replaced it with new plywood and covered it with building felt. It's important that the amount of each course that is revealed remains consistent up the wall. This fiber cement siding matches the hardboard in size and texture, but will last much longer because it's impervious to water damage and termites. The 2nd row is nailed down through the row above, holding the courses tightly together. Because fiber cement won't rot, those homeowners won't have to worry about these kind of repairs again.
Now let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out the best new products. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
There are so many things you can do around your yard with landscape lighting, and most of the systems that are available are very do-it-yourself friendly. But still, a lot of homeowners just don't like electricity or wiring. For those homeowners, solar-powered landscape lights are everywhere now. They've become a lot more popular, a lot brighter, and fortunately, the price has come down considerably. Take a look at this. This kit with 6 different metal solar lights from Intermatic at Malibu, less than $50. Now, these things are well built, easy to assemble with just 3 different parts that you screw together here. Then, as far as the installation in your yard, you just stick them right in the ground and you're through with the project. Now, because they're solar-powered lights, you have to think about a couple things. First of all, they need a lot of sunlight, so when you're positioning them in your yard, make sure they're in direct sunlight. Now, once these are charged fully, you can expect up to 15 hours of light out of these. But now, this is accent lighting, so it's not going to light up a large patio, but it's perfect for a walkway or a small area in your garden you really want to accent. Now, another thing about these, no photocells necessary, so once you put them in the ground, they'll turn on at dark, they'll turn off the next morning, and then continue to recharge. So these are very easy to install and also can make your walkway around your house a lot. Another area on the exterior of your home that may need frequent repairs, your entryways, especially if you have wood doors like this one. Now, you would think with all the opening and closing of an entry door that the problem here would come in with the hardware or the hinges. Those are easy to replace, but doors can get very expensive. Now, this door is protected by a covered porch, but still is exposed to drastic changes in temperature, an occasional blowing rain, and every morning a healthy dose of direct sunlight that can really break down even the best finishes on a door like this. Now, it's really easy to repair, and not only repairing a door like this will make it look a lot better, it'll last a lot longer, and the repair starts with sandpaper. Begin by hand sanding around the perimeter and in any tight recessed areas to remove old crack peeling finish. The open flat areas of the door can be sanded with a small electric pad sander to speed up the job. You don't necessarily have to sand down to bare wood all over, just remove the old varnish and smooth out places where the grain of the wood may have opened up because the varnish has already failed. If the door is in really bad shape, this may mean some areas are sanded through to reveal the wood. When the door is smooth, wipe it down to remove the dust from the sanding and apply a coat of stain that matches the existing door's finish. By wiping the stain down with a rag, you can blend it in nicely. For areas that are lighter, let the stain sit a bit longer before wiping it off, and if necessary, reapply the stain until the color is uniform all over the door. When the stain is dry, apply 2 to 3 coats of spar varnish, and the door should be as good as new. You should also apply some of the same spar varnish to the top and bottom edges of the door using a scrap piece of carpet. This will seal the end grain of the door and prevent it from soaking up moisture and swelling, which can cause sticking problems so many people complain about. When you have doors like this one that are directly exposed to the elements, they can really take a beating. Now, this door is a metal door, so as long as it has a good coat of paint, that usually will protect it. But the perimeter wood and the trim, now that's a different story. Water on the driveway was able to soak up into the wood, rotting both the brick mold and the door jamb. I removed the molding by cutting the caulk that sealed it to the jamb and the bricks and pried it loose with a flat bar. Then I replaced it with matching molding that was made from weather-resistant vinyl instead of wood. Now this cuts pretty much like wood, except that the nail holes need to be pre-drilled. I recessed the finishing nails with a nail set so that they could be covered with painter's putty later. Now this vinyl brick mold can be painted or left its natural white color. Now replacing the entire door jamb would have been a major chore, and the damage was fairly minor and really didn't affect the structural strength of the door, so I used a two-part repair putty to fill the void. First I put in wire mesh and long screws to anchor the patch to the studs behind the jamb. Then I mixed up the cream hardener and putty together on a disposable plate. With a putty knife I filled in the void and smoothed out the surface. Now this putty dries very quickly because the hardener, so it's important to quickly sculpt it into shape. Larger voids may require 2 coats of putty. Once the repair is dry, a little sanding, and it's ready for paint. Now don't forget to reapply the caulking where your brick mold meets the jamb to prevent any other moisture from getting in behind the jamb and causing you the same problems we just repaired. Now the same way that water can affect an entry door like this, it can do the same with a garage door. The gasket on the bottom of the door is very important to make sure it's in good condition. Now, just a few months ago, we replaced the gasket on this particular door, and we were able to get a garage gasket replacement kit that came with 4 sections of aluminum channel that we removed the old gasket, put the channel in place, and then threaded the new, more pliable gasket material right into the channel. So now with the heavy rains or even the cold weather that's around the corner will not affect this garage, and will make it a lot easier to control both the moisture and the temperature inside the garage. Now next, our around the yard.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard. Lawn and garden tips you can use straight from the experts. Brought to you by TimberTech Engineered Decking Systems. Less work, more life.
These days, we all hear a lot about mosquitoes, and Rachel DeToro has some great organic methods to control these pests.
Danny, we've all heard to clean our gutters and eliminate the nesting places for mosquitoes. But here is a place that we want the mosquitoes to come and lay their eggs. So we've left this out, easy to reach. The mosquitoes will put their eggs in here and be immediately eaten by a little native fish called gambusia.
Oh, that's great. Well, that kind of takes care of itself then. You're feeding the fish and eliminating mosquitoes.
Exactly.
Now, Citronella candles are something that I've heard about for many years, and are they very effective?
We have used citronella candles, but I prefer the fresh plant. And you can crush the leaves. It smells fantastic.
Boy, it really smells like the citronella candle.
Yes, it does. And you can use the plant by just crushing the leaves and rubbing it on yourself, or you can use it to make a spray or tonic to spray around, make a repellent. Along with this plant is lemongrass, and it also is very effective for mosquito repellent.
Okay, now I understand you can make a tea out of that, is that right?
Yes, we had it this morning. It's delicious summer drink. You can drink it every day, and the more you take into your system, you make yourself less attractive to the mosquito in the first place.
That's a great idea. Now this one I'm familiar with, basil. I know it's real commonly used in, say, Italian cooking.
Yes, and we've made pesto many times this summer with the basil, and the more basil, oregano, and rosemary that you would eat, it makes yourself naturally repellent.
Yeah, that's great. Well, these methods are a lot better than spraying all that bug spray on.
I agree.
Well, we've looked at a number of different home repairs for the exterior of your home, but we've really just scratched the surface. Until next week, I'm Danny Lipford.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner. And don't forget to comment, like, and hit the bell icon so that we can notify you when new videos are posted.
And don't go anywhere, click around and continue the home improving fun.